doubts about where this podcast is going and if it's making any impact on anyone and if it's changing anyone's life or if it's doing anything good. And I kept saying to Steve, I feel like, I don't know. I just felt like it's not going anywhere. It's not getting to where I want it to be, or it isn't reaching people or something. Mm-hmm. And I kept saying to him, I don't even want to record. And I love recording.
No, but I get that.
I love doing it.
But don't you know that's the cycle of this. That's kind of what happens. It's almost like we take this huge leap forward, and then all of a sudden we're put back 3 steps.
Yeah.
But you have to go back 3 steps because you're about ready to launch another big leap.
Hey y'all, I'm Kimberly Warner, mama of 2, lover of shoes, and serial entrepreneur. I've dedicated my life to helping women succeed in business by just being themselves. But the path isn't always easy. We have all gone through challenges and fear, but it is through those times when we learn who we really are, authentically. This podcast is for anyone who's experienced fear or is looking for the inspiration to do more, be more, or like me, rise from the ashes and be better than before. Here we go. Hey y'all, it's Kimberly. Before we get started with this week's episode, I just wanted to comment on the clip you just heard, which was a very raw emotional moment for me after we recorded Carilu episode 1. She really helped me gain confidence and inspiration that day in a matter of 20 minutes. And what you'll hear is not only wisdom, but a calm and beautiful soul. And I really am so excited for you to hear part 1 and part 2 as we dive into fear around finances and money and doing what you feel your calling is, but not sure if you're getting a return on investment, either financially or emotionally. Stay tuned for this episode. Hey y'all, it's Kimberly, and we are back. It is season 2 of Fearlessly Authentique. I cannot even believe I am sitting here right now knowing that there are 16 episodes behind us and so many more to go forward. We are going to start off season 2 with one of the most interesting, sort of wonky interviews I've ever had. It's really an interesting story. So I met Carilu, who we're about to talk to, probably, I don't know, like a month or so ago. And I met her through a different channel, through my financial planner, actually. And she has such a new kind of story. She has a whole new position that she's taking. And it was really, really interesting to me because it was about wealth and being like a financial planner. And as y'all know, I'm recently divorced. And I spoke with my friend Rhonda not too long ago, who's a divorce specialist. And it really intrigues me sometimes how women don't really know, and I was one of those women, don't really know anything about how to pay the bills. I didn't know the code to the safe. I had no idea how much the mortgage was. And now I'm currently refinancing the mortgage on my house. And it's, all a learning process. And so Carilu had such an interesting background, and we wanted to kind of talk about that and talk about what it's like to be a divorced woman and some of the challenges you go through financially. And as we're talking, I realized that she has this most amazing background that we didn't even touch on. So we brought her back into the studio and we're rearranging things. And it's like we're going to start with number 2 and learn a whole bunch about where Carilu came from, her past, and all of the uphill battles that she has fought along the way. So help me welcome Carilu to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Kimberly. I'm so glad to be here today.
We're so excited to have you, and in studio, too.
Yes, what a beautiful studio.
Oh, well, thank you. We'll probably have to do a live down here sometime so people can see what it looks like.
That would be very fun. I'd like to be a part of that one.
So, as I said, we did meet with your boss, Mark, and he's
Yes.
also my financial planner, and we talked about some really cool things. But as we were talking, I realized you just have this most amazing background. And so I want to rewind.
Okay.
Is there like a sound effect for that? You can do, yeah, that rewind sound effect. He's already got it written down. Don't cut that part out though, because that's funny. Don't cut out my noises, because that's funny. So, okay, I kind of introduced you, but I want you to just give us, start at the beginning and kind of give us a layout of the land. I know that you were like an amazing athlete and, you have all this amazing business experience. But if you had to kind of start telling your story wherever it would start, let's start there.
Well, I'll take you way back to being with my dad in his small vet office and every night going down and checking the money that came in and the money came out and what would be sent home to budget for food and what was needed next for the clinic for a new procedure. So I always, from day one, was getting the business sense of running my own business.
That's also why you like my little dogs so much.
Absolutely.
Who are currently sitting on my lap in the studio.
They're adorable.
Oh, great. Okay.
So, yeah, family. I learned a lot from my father. And then as far as the athletic part goes, yes, I was your Wisconsin state champion. I won't tell you what year, but I won 3 events and all around, and I was your one-girl all-conference team. So that spurred me on to obviously go to college and compete in the NCAAs.
And your sport was?
Gymnastics.
I think it's so cool. I always wanted to be a gymnast.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But I didn't have a lot of coordination.
Really? You
seem
coordinated. You're running this program.
No, I'm a little more of a stage person. A little bit more give me a microphone, but I could maybe do a cartwheel. But I remember my dad built me a balance beam out of 2x4s.
Yes.
And put carpet around it. And then he was a plumber. And so he had also made not the uneven parallel bars, but just a tall bar and a shorter bar.
Sure.
That I could do. What are those called?
Hip circles.
Hip throw over, whatever.
Hip ups, hip circles.
Yeah. I did those, and guess what? He made them out of pipes because he owned a plumbing company. So that's the only why I want to make sure you talked about gymnastics, because I wanted to have that.
Definitely.
That was a good memory. I had a dad memory, and you had a dad memory.
I actually broke the uneven bar at the Union Grove High School during a competition once.
What?
And uneven bars were my favorite, actually.
Really?
Yes.
So you were really a big deal. And this is in high school?
This was high school.
And into college?
And I also competed club and won the United States Gymnastics Federation and then got offered a scholarship. And I actually was approached by Utah that had just won the NCAA, but they only wanted me for 2 events. And I was with my father at the time, and he goes, "Are you going to be happy just coming out and doing 2 events? You've always done all around." So he goes, "Let's head up north, an hour and a half north to Logan, Utah State." And they offered me a full ride all around her. And that's where that story started as I got involved into wellness, obviously.
Oh, my gosh. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. That gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, I competed there, and you competed with the best. And, I was a big fish in the little pond versus the little fish in the big pond. And I think for my confidence level, that was perfect for me.
And so in college then, your major was?
I majored Bachelor of Science in Food and Nutrition.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so how that obviously spurred you into what you did next. And so it's funny because we keep thinking the audience knows what you did next, but they haven't heard what you did next because that's the next episode.
Okay. This is fun. All right. Well, so then I graduated. I came back to Wisconsin and started working at a hospital here in Kenosha. I was a clinical dietitian. Again, wanted to know the business side of it. What is the budget for food service? What's the budget for nutrition? For some reason, I always wanted to get to the numbers. And because I wanted our department to be successful, and your numbers have to talk. They have to do the work for you. Right. Otherwise, you don't have your department.
But you must have been a little analytical to begin with because, most people who are, when you talk about wellness and nutrition, they're really breaking a lot of things down, like the macros and the micros. People who are interested in having a healthy body, there is a large amount of analyzation that goes into that.
Absolutely. You're looking at the whole picture, but each part has their own place.
Right. And you were really mostly interested in healing bodies and like you went in my fridge to get cream for your coffee and you were like, I used to be the person that threw all the things out, but I didn't have anything bad in there, did I?
No, it looked awesome actually.
Okay.
Very proud of you.
Woof. Okay. So you're a dietitian and you're still did they allow you to do
there was
number stuff or?
Well, there was an opening in human resources and also an opportunity. They would pay for you to go back to get your master's in business at Parkside.
Oh.
So I thought, well, why not? So I actually applied for the management position in human resources, got that. Was also involved with their wellness facility, and then went back to school in the
Great.
evenings and got my MBA.
For free.
Yeah, well, no, half.
Oh, half. Almost free. Well,
That's
I mean,
right.
anything is better than nothing,
It
right?
is nowadays, especially. I can't imagine what it would cost today. So,
Oh, me either.
but a lot of hard work. In the meantime, had 2 babies, and my ex and I bought a heat and air business.
Okay, so you get married, have 2, and are they pretty close together?
My oldest 2 are 2 years apart.
Okay.
Correct.
And now you buy a heat and air business?
Correct. I was still working at the hospital, though, because we still needed the bread and butter, I would say, so to speak, something coming in. So while we built this other business, the business became very successful. We got picked to be in an IPO.
Okay. So
Then-
your husband had a passion for heating. Was it heating and cooling?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. He had a background. He actually had gone back and gotten his MBA also at Northwestern.
Oh, wow.
So it was funny because we used to joke that his professors were the books I was reading at Parkside. So I don't know, maybe there's a competition there because I started going
Maybe.
back, then he went back and whatever.
Yes.
But we bought this heat and air business, and we just basically looked at the basics of it and became more professional, customer orientated. All of those things became very successful, got on an IPO, which brought us then to Nashville, Tennessee.
Wow.
I was pregnant with our 3rd at that time, and then was able to stay home and be a domestic engineer.
Well, yes, I was that as well.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that term. Anytime you have to write a resume and you're a stay-at-home mom, that's what you call yourself.
That's right. It's the best term in the world. And you know how much we're worth? About $200,000 a year.
Yes, 100%. I remember telling my ex-husband that at one point, like, you actually should be paying me. And I thought it was only $100,000 a year at the time, but I was like, maybe it's gone up since. But I'm
Yes.
like, you actually should be paying me like $100,000 a year to be a stay-at-home mom because that's how much money you're saving. And he laughed so hard. He thought that was so funny. But it is true
It
because
is true.
you are not only raising and rearing, good children, you were also doing some of the finances and stuff at your house at that time?
Yes. What was interesting, that's kind of the 10 years where I wish I would have stayed informed. Because when things are going well, that's when you need to double down and be more disciplined about what are my dollars doing for me. And if I went back, I would have changed a lot of things. And the lifestyle should have been a little bit less of the lifestyle, but we were doing well. And I think what people have to understand, or even, women that are at home, be informed, ask the questions. That's how I feel like right now is like, I'm a safe place. Come see me at Profit Wealth. I'm a safe place to ask those questions, to look at how is the money being handled.
Right. Because you do need to know that.
Well,
you
even
don't
if
want to
you're-
assume you're going to get divorced.
No, but even if your
anything could
spouse
happen.
died, but
Right.
also there's no bad questions. Be a kindergartner. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. And I guess that's what I had to stand up and go, okay, what are we doing with our Roth or our IRA, or what about our retirement, things like this? Because I was no longer getting the paycheck, putting those dollars to work. I was relying on somebody else. And which in a great situation, you trust and you defend and you go forward.
Right.
But you still should know about it. So I guess that's where it comes to play now, where I really want to educate women to not be afraid of money.
Right. Yeah, it's a scary topic.
Right.
So,
I want a safe place where you can ask the questions. If I don't know, we're going to find out. I love digging deep.
So you are a domestic engineer, and you get to a point where now you do open your own business? Is that what comes next?
Nutrition piece. And I went to work for like a consultant for other companies to do their wellness programs. I started out with the YMCA, Steel Physiques, which was a fitness studio for the country music stars.
Yeah,
which
tell
was
them that part.
Fabulous.
Yeah, tell everybody that part.
Well, I wasn't the one doing the workouts, but I watched the workouts. How's that?
And so you were doing
I was actually
dietitian?
doing the nutrition part, yes. And
For like famous country singers.
correct. And I don't know if you remember at that time, The Biggest Loser was on, and they were wearing that armband. We were the first one to have the armband, which now everybody has their Fitbit. It's the same thing. looking at your calorie intake, your food intake, how you're working out, how, you're losing your weight or whatever.
So this was your own business, though. You were a consultant for this particular
correct
facility. So you, at this point, are managing your own business, your own money, and all of that.
Right.
Okay.
Then I reached out to another business called Corporate Health Partners, got involved in 3 other companies that were looking for wellness. We were doing screenings of individuals for their companies. Gideon's was one of them, the Bible people, the Bible in the hotel.
Yeah.
Oh, fabulous non-for-profit.
Oh, nice.
And then other construction companies. So again, getting involved in business is what I found too, is the ones that take care of their employees first took care of their money. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's like now that they're solid in the business, they can now worry about the physical health. And that's why I'm kind of rewinding just like these 2 episodes. I started out in wellness and corporate wellness and teaching health and nutrition. But what I'm finding is if people can be more disciplined in their finances, then they are more apt to be disciplined in their nutrition, in their exercise, and all those things.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
That's so interesting because it is so true.
They start wanting to do better everywhere.
Yeah, that is so true. I think that post-divorce or when I was just sort of at the end of it, or, like it was still happening, I still felt like I was spiraling. Like I didn't know what my finances were going to look like because everything had not yet been divided
revealed
equally. Yeah. And I definitely gained weight. I definitely drank more.
Yes.
I definitely ate out more. I mean, the pandemic didn't help either, but
No.
I was sort of like anything that DoorDash can bring me at 2 in the morning, I don't care. But that is such an interesting correlation because when you feel solid and you feel okay about your finances, that kind of like transfers through. It's kind of like when people say, well, if you exercise in the morning, you'll eat better the whole rest of the day because you kind of have that mindset.
Discipline in the morning, yeah.
That's so interesting. And now I have to feel like I need to call my sister because just the other day, she is worrying about being able to save and be able to pay the tuition for her kids. So they go to a school called Waldorf. And where she used to live in Arizona, that school was free. It was like a public school, or if it wasn't free, it was much less expensive. And now she lives out east where it's extremely expensive. And so at night, because she like texted me like 4 in the morning, I'm like, why are you awake at 4 in the morning? She's like, I can never sleep. I'm always worrying about, paying tuition.
The finance part
of
it.
Yeah. And she also has been, saying that she has not been eating as well and, wants to drink a martini for dinner and all this stuff. And so it's very, very interesting.
And when you start, putting the picture together financially, when you sit down and you look at, okay, like she wants to do something with the school and pay for her children to go there. And, you look at your retirement plan and you look at your income today and you look at your budget and they're just numbers. They don't define who you are. You're not bad if you spent here and you should have spent there.
Yes.
It's just looking at it so that you have a new perspective on it. And as soon as you start feeling like your money's working for you,
no matter how much you have,
it doesn't matter.
Right.
You start then taking care of yourself better.
Yes, that is so true. And I can confidently say, as I'm sitting here across from you, I've only, known you and spent time with you like 2 times, but you're a very calming spirit.
Oh, thank you.
I would feel very comfortable, even if I was someone who spent very poorly, and back in the day, that was me. My sister used to do my finances for me, so she actually is better at it than I am. But, I would feel very comfortable and not feel shamed. And I think that for women, money is very shaming. And
it is.
And it's very empowering, but it's also a very scary thing. Like I will go through ups and downs and like, Steve or my staff could tell you like when the budget isn't where it needs to be for the store, I flip out. Like I'm crabby all around, and nothing can go right. Nothing's good enough. Nothing's done right enough.
And then I don't do the nutrition I was going to do. I don't, do the exercise I was going to do because I'm just so full of fear.
Right.
Yes. One of our businesses we actually entered into the food market of a healthy snack. Scariest thing ever. And my health declined. And it wasn't because it wasn't maybe a good business to go into. It wasn't being run well.
Mm-hmm.
And again, had we stopped and looked at the numbers more clearly, I
Right.
think we'd made better choices.
You would have
and
made them, right.
got second opinions, not relying just on myself all the time,
Right.
or my significant other, I guess, at that
Right.
time. So, getting other people's opinions, always get a second opinion. That's what I said with this business with Profit Wealth is, even if you have an investment advisor, you're working with somebody, why not come in and get a second opinion, especially when things are going well. Right now,
Right.
people are fine. My 401k's up. My retirement plan's up.
Right.
Well, this is the time you should be reviewing it. Let's
Right.
make it work better.
Well, and in health in general, you want to get a second opinion. And
Exactly.
I suppose that's a good transition into kind of the next couple
Yes.
of mountains that you
Yes.
had to climb. Two kind of went together.
Correct.
So let's
Yes.
tell us
And
about
I
that.
would say 2009 with that food industry product and things like that, I was becoming unhealthy. The marriage was becoming unhealthy. And unfortunately, I did feel a lump in my breast. It was July of 2010. Went to see somebody. They kind of brushed it off. They actually did even take a sample, but thought, no, it's just, just a fibrous cyst, no problem. It kept growing. Eventually, I found another lump under my arm. And now we're Easter of 2011.
Oh my gosh.
And again, I wasn't listening to myself. Our finances were upside down. My kids are, all four of them. I'm just not taking care of myself financially first. I was so upset that then I finally went to my OBGYN, and he immediately sent me right on to the oncology to get it checked, and it was stage 3 breast cancer.
Ever see those women out there with the perfect shade of blonde hair, like me, or lush, long eyelashes, and you think, gosh, what vitamins do they take? Well, ladies, spoiler alert, they aren't taking vitamins, but what they are doing is going to Salon Nova at 2581 North Downer in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Salon Nova specializes in lash extensions because they used Liquifan Lash product, which was invented by the owner, Nova, the only patented instant cure system on the market, which equals stronger, longer-lasting lash extensions. They're gonna be long, lush, and you don't have to use any mascara. You wake up looking perfect, as if you had makeup on at 6 in the morning. It's fabulous. They are a super inclusive salon. They have color and cut experts for all different hair types. In fact, they are We Dad certified. For all of those curly-haired cuties out there, your cut will be perfect, and they have all of the products to go along with it as well. You don't want to miss the chance to get those lush lashes or that perfect shade of blonde. So book your appointment today at Salon Nova. You can call 414-273-6682 or salonnovaonline.com. We'll give you more information and their regular hours. They are open Monday through Saturday and Sunday by appointment. If you prefer to have a private appointment, those are also available. All you have to do is call 414-273-6682 or visit salonnovaonline.com.
So it really flips your whole life around, and I fell apart like every woman should after that. But again, I had developed a good tribe. I had women around me that finally could serve me, that I served them. And I remember meeting with my pastor at that time, and he said, Carilu, don't deny their joy. Because I was like, wait, you don't have to bring dinner every night. You don't have to take me to chemo. You don't have to do all these things. He's like, why are you denying their joy?
Yeah, that's such a cool way to say it. But true, because people do want to do things, especially for their tribe. And when you're shot like, no, I don't want you to do that, it's like, but I really want to do this for you.
It's
You know,
like,
just let me do it.
Them. And it was a good lesson to receive.
Yes.
Also.
And at the same time, you're going through the divorce.
Then finally the divorce came, and another episode of fear. What am I going to do financially? How am I going to handle this? But actually, as I saw me stand up against a marriage that wasn't going well, I didn't realize how much all of us were walking on eggshells. And as soon as I decided that, yes, I agree, let's do this, my kids got strength. And I could see that we were blue before, and now everybody's pink. They're getting back on the plan that they were supposed to be on.
Yeah.
And not caught up in our little mess.
Right. And so many people, I think, stay in a marriage that isn't good anymore for whatever reason for the kids.
Exactly.
Thinking that you're doing the right thing and that you're sacrificing, your happiness for your kids' happiness, and yet here they are basically drowning with you.
And you can't notice it until you start standing up for yourself financially, I think. And then the health, and then they see you overcoming these obstacles. I think this could be a good thing or a bad thing, but I remember my son telling somebody, I don't really remember Mom being sick for those 3 years. He was 11 when that started. And I'm like,
wow.
That's a testament to the joy I had that was secure, we talked about. And, to me, it is the power of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
I couldn't have done it without him. So it's all came together, and fortunately, with hope. When you have hope in anything, you just kind of walk through it then, not around it, because you got to go through the bad stuff.
Right. You really do. And for your kids to see you go through that fire, if you will, and then come out on the other side and still have joy, or have, more joy in your life, that's how they truly learn. It's not giving them things or taking them places or any of that. It's having them watch you go through good times and bad times and come out on the other side and grow into a new person, don't you think?
Right, and getting them to trust you again. The honesty is, your mom has cancer. The honesty is financially, we're going to have to do things different. Honestly is we got to sell the big house. All the honesty.
Right.
You're so scared to put that on them. And again, ages are different.
Sure.
You deal things with them. When you talk to them, you only answer their questions, especially young ones. But not letting them think that everything's okay when it's not, because those times are what makes them stronger too, to see that they walked through it too.
Right. So. I totally agree with that. So you guys then, kind of supersede. So now it's you and your kids. And then are you still in Nashville right now? Okay.
Yes. And in the transition of moving back here. But worked again with Nutrition Peace, but then decided that I really have always wanted to dig into the financials of things. And I had an aunt that just retired as an investment advisor.
Okay.
My grandmother was on the board of a bank. My family involved me in settling my grandmother's estate with their lawyers. I had to help sell my dad's veterinarian business that was doing very well. Just a lot of things over the last 3 years as I got out of kind of the wellness part of the corporate world and decided to tune in to helping my family. But in that has turned into the fact that this is what I want to do next.
Right. And so this is where you kind of have your cute saying that you went from wellness to wealth.
Correct.
And that also has a lot to do with your business background.
Correct.
I mean, all of the things that you did in the corporate field, even though you were in the wellness side, you were still involved in the business and in your dad's business and all of these things. And so you come back here, your parents are not well.
Correct. I came back when my grandmother was actually failing and helped my mom because my dad was then diagnosed with Parkinson's. My grandmother passed away in 2017. My dad ended up passing in June of 18. In the meantime, my mom got diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer.
Wow.
So she just passed Memorial Day of 2020.
Holy cow.
Now,
that's a lot of grief in a short period of time.
Correct. And I miss him dearly. And I miss being able to call my dad and my mom and ask for the advice. So now I'm the matriarch, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I better get to know what I'm doing.
Right.
And financially dig in. I'm taking the exam to be investment advisor representative. I'm doing all those things to know how to be a good steward of the finances and also to help my children. But I really do enjoy helping other people.
So that's kind of your love language, really, is serving other people, helping other people. And now you're able to do it in a whole new role at a whole new job that you just took on. And what's so great about it is that you're offering a service that doesn't already exist at Profit Wealth Management in
Correct.
Kenosha. It also seems to be a service that isn't really offered anywhere yet that I have noticed. And I've been through this process, obviously the divorce process, but there's other processes that you go through where you would need someone to consult, essentially.
Well, your life experience. Come in for a review. Let's look at how is your business doing. I love looking at businesses and the details of their financials. I love looking at what you've planned already for your retirement, school, for your children. Let's look at the whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no fee. Come talk to us. Let's get you a second review.
And I think that is something that is not offered anywhere else. I mean, it's such an amazing service. And so many people go through so many of the things that you've gone through. So, having kids, owning businesses, selling businesses.
Taking care of parents when their health's failing. Right. How do you handle Medicare, Medicaid, insurances?
Right.
All of those things.
Losing parents, then selling businesses, then looking at wills and estates and all of that. Or even writing one,
Yes.
You consult on that.
Reviewing things. I will tell you, lawyers are good with legal terms.
Right.
But when it comes to business, it's your investment advisor and your accountant.
Right.
That will give you or had given me the best advice.
Right. Same. I can say the exact same about my accountant, Mitch Marks, who is amazing. If anyone needs an accountant, Mitch Marks up in Mequon, Wisconsin, he is phenomenal, especially for small business. He runs all 3 of my businesses and has for many years. And then, of course, Mark, who is my financial planner. So, and I don't know anything about what he's doing, but he's like a second dad, so I trust him.
Yes.
But maybe I need to come in and have a consultation with you so you can tell me that what he's doing. I get these things in the mail and I'm like, do I have to keep this? I'm not really sure what to do with this.
Yes, right. No, come see me. Let's look at what you're doing and, make sure you feel confident in that.
Because at least you would be able to explain it, too, in layman's terms so that
absolutely
people understand what, like I just got some, he bought something for something and I was like, I have no idea what this is, I'm going to come and see you so I know what's happening with my money. But I just
be a kindergartner.
Right?
Talk to me.
That's a great mantra, be a kid, to have for people, be a kindergartner, because so sometimes we're so afraid to ask the questions because we feel like we're going to sound stupid.
Yes.
I remember your teachers always used to say, there is no stupid question. Oh, the only stupid question is the one you don't ask, Steve said. Okay. All right, there we go.
But sometimes you don't even know the questions to ask, but as you start learning about what's going on, oh, well, what about this? What about that? And it leads to better understanding. My family trusted Mark for years.
Right.
I feel the same. He's got a good head on his shoulders.
Right. And in episode 2, we find out a little bit about that as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, well, I think that we have gotten to know you so much better that I feel so much more comfortable now going into episode 2. So it's like Carilu, episode 1, Carilu, episode 2. I love that rhymes.
I was going to say, that's pretty good.
Because you have such an interesting background and you really have done almost everything. I mean, from pro gymnast to, college student to graduate student to business owner to consultant for larger businesses to, and all the way back to managing money in your dad's vet office. And I mean, I did the same thing when my dad owned a laundromat, only I was like cleaning out the dryers with the vacuum. So I'm really good with a vacuum is what I'm saying.
But cleaning's all part of it too. I had to clean a lot of cages back in the day.
I bet. Yeah,
yes.
Mostly. And then I would work on the weekends. And so this was funny because it was before my dad, and if I remember correctly, I'll have to ask him, but it was before my dad could necessarily afford a change machine. So remember those big, huge things you'd put the dollars in and would give you the quarters in the laundromat, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I would work on the weekends, and we had a door where we would accept not only dry cleaning, and then we would weigh it per pound and then give them, they'd pay and come back, and it would all be dry cleaned or ironing. But I would be the change person. So someone would come and give me $1, I'd give them 4 quarters. And later on, he did invest in a change machine, but I worked for, Guess Jeans, or, I worked for something that I wanted at home that my parents couldn't necessarily afford. And most of us, there were 4 of us in my family too, and we each took turns at night when my dad had to close the laundromat to go with him, and we would vacuum out the dryers. And the best part about vacuuming out the dryers, do not cut this story because this is really funny, is that you never know what you're going to find in the dryer.
I was going to say money.
Yes, out of people's pockets, change, rings, whatever. Now, we would have to put it in a lost and found box for a certain length of time. Sure. But my brother would always get excited. One time he found a ring and he was convinced that it was like, real diamonds, and it was worth like $1 gazillion, and it was like from a quarter machine, like came out of a plastic. Yeah, it came out of a plastic egg or something. And he was like, I'm going to be rich with this. He was like 5.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so we all took turns to it. So I totally understand.
See, there's a lot of stories around money.
Yes. Yeah, you really have to think about it though. I would have never thought of that story, or even the coin story, really, had we not, started talking about how going all the way back and where your relationship with money and finances started.
And you can change it.
Yeah. I challenge everyone out there, actually, who's listening. Where did your kind of relationship with money start? If you can remember back the very, very first kind of where you had like a gut feeling about money, whether it was good or bad or interesting or just memorable. And the fact that I remember we didn't have a coin machine and all these other laundromats did, and we're kids and we're vacuuming out the dryers where, other laundromats probably had, professional cleaners to come in. It was like, this was our family business, essentially, and my mom owned a business at the same time too. So I come from a long line of entrepreneurs also. But what I never was interested in, the way you were the finances. What I was interested in were the people and the customer service and my mom's decorations and how beautiful she made everything.
Look at your beautiful store.
So, thank you.
I love it.
Yes, thank you.
I tell everybody to go.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But
and then come by and see me.
Yes,
right across the street.
Yes, exactly. So it's a cool marriage because, some people have gifts and other people and interests and all of that. And yet it all comes full circle at the end because no matter what, everyone is going to have to deal with finances in some way, shape, or form. You could be married to the best person who takes care of all of that for you. At some point, you are going to be faced with that.
Still be informed.
Still be informed, for sure. Thank you so much for being on this episode and teaching us so many things. We definitely talk more about you in episode 2 and what you do specifically at Profit Wealth Management and how people can get in touch with you. So we're going to end episode 1 of Carilu. Thank you so much for coming. And thanks, y'all, for listening to another episode of Fearlessly Authentique.
Thank you for listening to Fearlessly Authentique. My mom hopes this episode empowered you to be fearless. Please remember to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Share, rate, and comment because my mom wants to hear all of your feedback. Contact her directly at fearless@fearlesslyauthentique.com. Hosted and executive produced by my mom, Kimberly Warner, produced and mixed by Steve Hawkins, and co-hosted by Eddie Polanzani. Connect with us on social media via fearlesslyauthentique.com. Copyright Fearlessly Authentique 2020.